Hello, welcome to Ruined Childhood, the podcast where we talk about weird media from our childhoods and try to tell the other person we're not insane. I'm your host, Casey, and I am here with my good friend
Sonic the Hedgehog. It's me.
Oh yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, this podcast is happening.
This podcast is way past cool, man. Basically, just more people. It was like, it came out in 2006, obviously, for the Xbox 360 and PS3. So this was supposed to be like a new Sonic for a new generation of consoles and gamers. This was meant for people like you. Mm-hmm. It was advertised as sort of a soft reboot, and I want you to keep that in mind when I'm telling you about this, because it makes this way funnier.
Okay.
This was like a very anticipated game, and they rushed it out for the holiday season, and it was notoriously buggy and just unfinished. It is, to this day, referred to as one of, if not the worst Sonic the Hedgehog games, and some people would go as far to say one of the worst video games of all time. I don't know if I'd go that far, because I've played this game, and, it's bad, but it's not, it's not, Big Rigs, what else was... It's not like whatever EA puts out. It's not like that level of high budget unfinished shit even.
I thought that the title for the worst video game was supposed to be one of those really old Superman games.
Superman 64. It's no Superman 64. This game is playable. It's not fun playing it, but it is playable.
It's at least a video game.
Yeah, it is a video game. It's just incredibly buggy. In fact, recently, a group of fans have actually taken it upon themselves to remake the Sonic 06 levels. Many Sonic fans listening to this probably know Project 06. I still haven't played it, but it looks really cool.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Sonic 06 is mainly a fan name, a name given to by fans. Same with Superman 64, because the game's, once again, it's a reboot. It's just called Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to refer to this as this is the definitive Sonic. This isn't like the God of War reboot or the Doom reboot. This is Sonic 06. Let's be real.
Yeah. Even God of War, that was kind of a weird choice, just because
it was a weird
straight
choice.
Up a sequel.
It was a weird choice,
at all.
But it's a bit of a, I started playing it. I think I only played one God of War game in my life, and it was 5 minutes of a PSP spin-off.
Yeah.
And I just started playing God of War today, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty good game, and I have no trouble following it. I don't think the same applies to Sonic 06, but we will get there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, before we moved on from God of War, though, I wanted to say one last thing. So you were playing the PSP one, which means... So you didn't get to it, but there is a cutscene, or there's an event, where you have to button mash, which is shoving away your daughter who is clinging to your leg.
God, that's so funny. I really hope the PS4 version has something similar to it, because Kratos has a son in this one.
Right.
So that
I won't spoil
really
anything
funny.
from God of War 4, because it's a really good game that doesn't deserve it. But in the
honestly,
PSP one... Yeah, there's a cutscene or a mini game where you have to shove your daughter off you so you can go kill more gods.
That's so fucking funny. Oh my god. Yeah, but that's the history of Sonic 06.
Yeah.
But that is not my history with Sonic 06. You see, when I was a young lad, I used to love Sonic. But as a kid with I had a 3DS and not much else, and there weren't a lot of Sonic games on the 3DS. So I'd
other than Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, there were some Olympics. There were a couple platformers like Lost World and Shattered Crystal, which were okay. At the time, I thought they were amazing, and going back to play them, Lost World is one of the worst fucking games I've ever played. I think the 3DS Lost World is way worse than 06.
Really?
But bottom line, Sonic content was sparse. I had also played some of the Genesis games on mobile, but I hadn't played any of the big boy console games. So what I would do is I'd go onto YouTube, I'd scrounge for any Sonic media, I'd found some cool stuff, some cursed stuff, but my favorite thing to do back then was I would go on YouTube and look up did you ever for when you were a kid, were there games that you wanted to play but couldn't for a reason? So you watched the cutscene compilations on YouTube?
Loads.
Yeah.
Loads.
So I used to do that all the time with every Sonic game, and it all started with Sonic 06 because... keep in mind, this game is just called Sonic the Hedgehog, so when I saw a thumbnail that said Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, and I ignored parentheses cutscene compilation, I thought this was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I didn't take into account the weird continuity gaps between cutscenes where gameplay's supposed to be, I just ignored that because this was something I didn't expect even from Sonic. Like, it was a very interesting premise, very Final Fantasy-esque in a lot of ways. And it is something you will never see like Sonic Team or any big name studio try to do with like an IP like Sonic. Right. So
that's right, because 06 is when he has the human girlfriend, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is that game. This is the game where he has the human girlfriend. And it is just a very strange experience. And I only I didn't have this game until like much later when I was able to find a copy, and I played it, and I was watching the cutscenes, and I was having a good time because like this is a piece of my childhood. But I also started to think, I think this game might be stupid. Mm-hmm. So I want to see if this plot is as I want to see how you react to this. Okay. I want to get your take as someone who was the intended audience for this game, mm-hmm. newcomers to the series. This is the story of Sonic 06. Mm-hmm. So, this game opens in the future. Now, this is a dystopian future. What is the worst dystopian future you've ever seen portrayed in media?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Like, in terms of, and not like worst in terms of quality, I mean like in terms of like where would you not want to live? Like, which would be just the worst place to live?
I feel like there's a better answer, but Attack on Titan is the one that comes to mind.
That is a pretty bad, like, world to live in. So, Sonic 06's future is so much worse, because everything is on fire. Okay. Like, there is, like, you ever play the game The Floor is Lava? That is the future in Sonic 06. There are barely any flat surfaces. It's straight up just lava everywhere. Okay. We learn about like why this is. We open on Silver the Hedgehog, he is a silver hedgehog with psychokinetic powers, and he's like flying through the city, giving an internal monologue about how this is the world I lived in, but before I was even born, it was decimated. No one knows what happened, but they always point to the flames of disaster, the creature known as Iblis, and Iblis is this all-powerful fire demon who just appears everywhere and just keeps on coming back and just engulfs the thing in flames. If you've ever seen any interpretation of the demon Ifrit, it's basically that. Just this giant fire devil thing. And Silver lives in the future with his friend Blaze the Cat, who is a pyrokinetic, and they defend the world from Iblis and try to keep...
What is Blaze supposed to do? The dude is made of fire.
Well, she can control fire.
Oh, okay, and I guess just, like, move him.
I guess, yeah. Sure. She just kind of spin kicks people with... She kind of just... her pyrokinesis in this game... doesn't pay off that much because she just kind of like uses it to like spin around with fire tornadoes and beat people up.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, so they defend the world from Iblis, and they say they defend the survivors. You never see a single person in the future other than Silver, Blaze, and another character we will meet in a bit. So after Silver and Blaze engage in the first boss fight, where they have to fight Iblis again, and they're kind of pissed. It's like, we stopped him for now, but what's the point? Blaze, he'll just come back. And then a mysterious man shows up who looks like Shadow the Hedgehog, but instead of the red stripes, he has gray stripes. He's like a grayscaled Shadow the Hedgehog, and he has no mouth, but he still talks. And he says, if you want to save the future, you must find the one responsible for this. You must find the one responsible for unleashing the flames of disaster into the world. And they follow this man, this guy. He takes them back to his little gamer pad, his little his little hideout. It's like a headquarters with a bunch of monitors.
I don't bring people here very often because I get friend zoned.
Yeah,
so
okay,
frequently.
yeah, it's that guy.
I
You're
know
familiar
that
with.
cutscene.
I knew you were familiar with
I know
some
the
real-time
cutscene,
fandom
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's that guy, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay,
which
yeah.
isn't his real name.
Yeah,
which
that's right.
I could, but we'll get to that. But he's like, you need to find the one responsible. I have the power to travel through time. And he says, this is the one responsible. And he holds out a Chaos Emerald, which are like, they're these 7 gems that do, that do whatever the plot needs them to do, basically. Whatever each game needs
They're
them
the
to
MacGuffin,
do. There's
yeah.
usually some consistency. Usually it just lets them go Super Saiyan and stuff, and you get all 7. This game does push that use to interesting extents, but we'll get to that later. He shows him the Chaos Emerald, and it gives Silver a vision of Sonic the Hedgehog in like a flaming hellscape, and he just looks at the camera ominously, and Silver's like, "Huh, so that guy's responsible." And he said, and the guy is like, "I will send us all back in time. You must kill this man." So he sends them back in time, and they all get separated. So Silver gets separated, and he's like, "Well, I better get going. I better find this guy. I better find the Iblis Trigger," who is what he refers to Sonic as.
Yeah, that's a phrase I'm definitely familiar with because I've heard the phrase Iblis Trigger uttered.
Yeah.
Fucking like 3 dozen times at least.
Yeah. So now we are cutting. Now that we're in the present day. Now we cut to the city of Soliana, which is basically if Venice was a Final Fantasy location, and it's nighttime and there's a big festival on the water. Princess Elise, the Princess of Soliana, is heading the ceremony. She's supposed to bring a flame up to a ceremonial torch and light it to honor their sun god Solaris. And she said, right before she lights the torch, she gets a vision where the flames of disaster arise, engulfing the entire world in flames, and she watches as it happens. And then she snaps out of it, and she's like, "It's probably nothing." So she lights the torch. She's like, "Guide us with your eternal light, Solaris." And everything's great. Fireworks go off, and she's waving hi to everyone. And then, from the fireworks, missiles start raining down.
Okay.
Missiles start raining down. Explosions are going off everywhere. And Dr. Eggman floats down in his machine and surrounds the princess with his army of robots. And he says, "I've come here to obtain the secrets of the flames of disaster from you, and to take the miracle gems that are the key to its secret, the Chaos Emerald." She's got like a Chaos Emerald for a necklace, and he's like, "Please step into
That
my
would be
pod."
so awkward. They're at least like 20 pounds. They're so big.
I know, like the Chaos Emeralds are huge in this game, but they also like characters just kind of pull them out of thin air at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, and Elise is like it's really small on her necklace, but then it's like the size of her head. Like when people are holding it.
Yeah.
And she's like she's nervous, she doesn't want to get into Eggman's car. And then a gust of blue wind surrounds, and Sonic the Hedgehog shows up.
One.
One! He's like, my, that's a pretty snazzy performance there. And then Elise gets a vision, another vision, where she sees Sonic, but she sees him as Silver for a second, and she's like, it can't be. And then Sonic just jumps around, he destroys all the robots. Don't fall! And he destroys them all, and he like grabs Elise, he's like, "I'm Sonic the Hedgehog!" And he runs away with her. He's like holding her, and it looks really awkward. And then Eggman's
She's like 3 times his size.
Yeah, and then Eggman's like, "Oh, attack!
Yeah.
Blue hedgehog!" He like runs away with her, and like when Elise asks like later, he's like gotten away from the explosions. It's later at night. And she's like, hey, why are you helping me? He's like, "No special reason." And then some more robots come and surround him. He puts her down to like destroy the robots, but while his back was turned, Eggman uses a giant robot arm to pick up Elise and take her away. His machine is really funny because it's 2 robot arms, but one is the full arm, and the other is just the forearm, and it's just kind of floating.
Okay.
I don't know how it works, but I guess.
Science.
But before Elise can be taken away, she throws the Chaos Emerald to Sonic. And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll rescue you, princess." And he's like, "Oh, it'll only be a matter of time before that Chaos Emerald is mine." Moo ha 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 ha. So, and off in the distance, Silver has been watching. He's finally found the Iblis trigger, and he's about to go for the kill. But then Amy Rose shows up. No context given to who this character is for newcomers, so tough luck, man.
Yeah.
But she starts hugging him. She's like, "I found you, Sonic. I'm gonna make you marry me." And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, sorry. I thought you were someone else." And he's like, when Silver looks back, because he was distracted, Sonic got away. He's like, "Oh man. He's not here." And he's like, "I'm sorry, were you looking for someone?" "It's just someone very important." "Well, then I'll help you. We'll help each other look for this person." And she drags him away against his will. So they go and they're both looking for someone, but they've never said who they're looking for.
Right.
Now, we cut to a secret agent of the Guardian Units of Nations. I want you to spell that out.
Come on. That's pretty good. I
It
like
is.
that.
It is the Guardian Units of Nations, aka Gun.
That belongs in the Shadow game, though.
Well,
Oh.
the thing is, you know who this Gun agent is?
Shadow.
It's Shadow. Gun has been in Sonic games for a while.
Really?
Yeah, they were in every game that Shadow was in up to this point.
Okay, if it's like a Shadow thing, then
It kind of is, but
makes sense.
he is now an agent of Gun. I want to remind you, this is supposed to be a soft reboot,
Yeah.
but instead it is basically a sequel
Yeah.
to other games, which I think is funny.
God of War again.
God of War again. God of War, but like no context get to who anyone is.
Yeah.
So like Shadow's raiding one of Eggman's bases. He's destroying all these robots, and he's here to rescue a character you as a Sonic outsider might have heard of, his fellow Gun agent, Rouge the Bat.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so...
Yes, I've heard of Rouge.
Yeah, so he's raiding this base, and he rescues Rouge, and they're walking out of the base, and she's like, "Hey, check out what I have." And she has this thing called the Scepter of Darkness. It is a phallic-looking relic with like glowing purple in the middle of it.
Yeah, I know the one because this is another fan
Real
dub
time
line I'm
fan dub.
familiar
Yeah,
with.
it's,
Like, finally, I can carry my boyfriend
Yeah.
with me wherever I wish. And what do you know? The perfect shape.
Yeah.
You should probably cut that out.
Who knows? Maybe. Maybe.
All right.
But yeah, she's like, don't you want to know what this thing is? And he's like, "My mission was to rescue you, nothing more." She's like, "Okay, well, can you at least escort me to the rendezvous point at the Gun rendezvous point at the ancient Soliana Castle?" So they have to head there. The next day, Sonic meets up with Tails, his best friend, and they decide to trail Eggman's airship into the desert. Elise is being held captive by Dr. Eggman in his secret base. She remembers the words of her father echoing in her head, telling her, "Be brave and never cry, no matter what happens."
That feels like a weird line, but I guess
is.
I'm also not getting it from the source. So.
It is. Well, it's a weird line.
Okay.
That will come up though.
Okay.
And Sonic and Tails they break in to rescue her, and Elise hugs Sonic. She's like, I'm so glad you came. Are you all right, Elise?" And then Tails is like, "Guys, stop flirting! Look, there's a giant robot Cerberus!" And they have to fight Dr. Eggman's giant robot Cerberus by like grabbing onto his horn and making him run into pillars.
Okay.
So they beat up the giant dog, and they run away. And then there are robots in the sky that are like coming towards them. And Tails is like, "I'll distract them so you can get away." So he like flies away and leaves the robots after him, while Sonic carries Elise to a Windows 10 desktop wallpaper. It's just a plain grassy field with a blue sky and nothing else. We have a interesting moment where Elise realizes Sonic hurt his arm while rescuing her, but they didn't like put any texture on his character model or like animate him in any way to signify that he's hurt. He looks completely fine. Even he's like, "Oh, this is nothing." He's like, "Don't say that." And she pulls out a handkerchief because every woman in every female love interest has a handkerchief.
Yep, for convenient
and, like,
cry sessions and such.
Yeah, convenient cry sessions and such. She ties it around his arm, and it's like, and he's like looking away, and I think they're trying to imply that he's like kind of flustered. He's just like, but because you can barely see Sonic's mouth and his head is so huge, he's just kind of like bobbing his head everywhere. The characters and the models in this game are so funny. And then she's like, "I'm sorry, this is all my fault." And he just tells her, "Smile." He's like, "Your smile is all I need."
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no, there are so many things wrong with that, Sonic. First off, maybe pick another phrasing of that word. And also, you've just met this woman.
Yeah.
And so they walk around the Windows 10 screensaver, and he asks, like, "What's up with those flames of disaster, Elise?" And she's like, she explains that they worship the sun god Solaris because they believe one day his wrath will consume the world in fire, and they want to appease him to make sure he doesn't kill them all.
Okay, I was wondering about that when you first mentioned that they were like doing the festival with all the fires. Like, is it secretly the guy? Is the twist is that he's Iblis?
You're getting there. Yeah, well, Solaris is is like their sun god who will engulf the world in flames, and 10 years ago, after a mysterious incident that Elise was too young to remember, they almost faced Solaris's wrath, which is why they do the Sun Festival. And she's scared because Dr. Eggman, he wants to bring back the flames of disaster, and she's getting stressed. And then Sonic notices this, so he grabs her by the hand and just starts running. He starts running, and he says,
wrenches her arm out of its socket.
He's like, "Sonic, I can't run that fast." And he's like, don't worry, just hold on and run." And I would have loved if he just rips the arm out of her socket.
That's what would I'm kind of surprised.
That is what would, he does do it at a reasonable jog, but she is also wearing stilettos and a big dress.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine she could
grass.
run. Yeah, so there's whimsical music as they're romantically running through the field, and then she falls on the ground and she's like, "Haha, I've never run so fast before." And he's like, "Nothing starts until you take action. If you have time to worry, then run."
Okay. I get what they're getting at.
It's kind of sweet.
Just weird localization.
It's the weird romantic subtext, because I firmly believe if there wasn't all this weird sexual tension between this hedgehog man and a very realistic looking human woman, or even if they were just stylized to look a bit more similar, it would be a little weird, but it would be no weirder than Bowser wanting to date Peach.
Yeah.
But because there's so much awkward anime tension between them, it's so much weirder than if they were just kind of friends.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So now we come.
I at least see I guess because are we getting close to? No, we're not even close to halfway through, are we?
Nope.
Yeah, I was say no. I was say, but when we get to the halfway point, we should kind of talk about where it's going. But continue.
Yeah. We cut back to Shadow and Rouge, and they've arrived at the castle. But surprise, surprise, it was a trap by Eggman.
No.
Yes. And he surrounds them with his robots, and he wants to steal their scepter of darkness. Rouge flies up in the air to escape. But one of his robots, his robot arm, smacks her out of the sky. And Shadow goes to catch her, but because of that, the Scepter of Darkness shatters, and out of it comes a mysterious dark cloud that destroys all of Eggman's robots. And he's like, pull back, retreat, it's no use! We'll get there. I saw that face. And
that was actually really close to that. The way Silver says it's no use. That was almost a bang-on impression.
Thank you. Yeah, so it destroys that, and it absorbs Shadow the Hedgehog's shadow, and out of the shadow of Shadow's shadow, in the shadow of the Shadow Man, rises the guy who took Silver and Blaze back in time, and he says, "Ho ho ho, how ironic fate can be! I thank you for resurrecting me through your shade, Shadow the Hedgehog." And he gives them like a fruity little bow, and it's great.
That's pretty good.
And Shadow's like, "Who the fuck are you?" and
Sonic games would be that much better if Shadow was just if only Shadow
was allowed to swear. If he kept on saying "damn," if they kept that in from the Shadow games, that would be great. But
he gets one shit.
He gets one shit. But the creepy guy, he starts like walking like a zombie over to him. He's like, "What? Don't tell me you don't remember me, Shadow the Hedgehog. I am Mephiles the Dark. What you..." And then he holds up his hand and creates a little time portal in his hand. He's like, "What you gave to me, I shall return to you. A one-way trip to oblivion." And then the portal enlarges, and Shadow and Rouge just kind of, their character models just kind of disappear with no effect. They just kind of blip out of existence as they yell like Rouge goes like, "Ah!" That's what her scream sounds like, and Shadow's like, "Ugh."
That's almost kind of cool though, because I've always thought it was very interesting where there's no dramatic flash, it's just you're gone.
It is kind of cool, but when you have this giant purple ball of energy surrounding them, it looks kind of funny, especially since 06 already looks really cheap.
Yeah. And if they're screaming like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
I don't think that's the noise.
The voice acting in
teleported to hell.
The voice acting in this game is next level anime dub bad. It is really funny. Aside from the Mike Pollock as Eggman, he's doing a great job as usual. And admittedly, the guy playing Mephiles, Dan Green, who also did a lot of Orchid stuff, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, Dan Green's another actor.
He's He's in a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I know. I think he might actually be the guy who voices Mr. Yu-Gi-Oh. I haven't watched the show, but I've heard dub clips.
Yeah, Mr. O himself.
I wouldn't be surprised. He voices a lot of characters in 4Kids stuff. And, yeah, so Shadow and Rouge, they're gone for now. We don't know where they went. So now we cut back to Silver and Amy just kind of wandering around the city. There was a cutscene where they somehow ended up in the desert, but nothing of substance was there. So I didn't even, aside from Silver getting kind of pissed at Amy, so I skipped it. So they're walking around, and Amy's like, "I wonder where Sonic could be," and she wanders off. And Silver then sees Sonic. He turns his eyes like, "Huh!" And Sonic's walking back with Elise, and then Silver then comes in. He tries to kill Sonic, and he floats down from the sky with these really weird stock UFO sound effects. It goes like whoa 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 whoa, and he's like, "I finally found you. I will destroy you. I'm Silver the Hedgehog, and for the fate of the world, I will kill the Iblis Trigger." So there's a boss fight. It's the one where he says, "It's no use. Take this." So then Sonic kicks his ass, and he walks over. He's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then Silver jumps in. He's like, "Ha!" and knocks him against a wall. And he's like, "Is this a joke? How can someone like you destroy the world? What do you mean? It doesn't matter. I'll kill you now, Iblis Trigger." And then Elise gets kidnapped again. Dr. Eggman comes in with his big robot arm and grabs her. And Sonic tries to run after her, but Silver is like, "No, you're not getting away from this." And then Amy steps in. She's like, "Stop! Don't do this! Get out of my way, Amy! Don't you dare hurt Sonic!" And then he's like, "Thanks, Amy, I appreciate it." And Silver's he doesn't want to kill Amy, so he lets Sonic get away. And then they have this weird conversation. He's like, "The person you were looking for was Sonic? Were you going to kill him?" and like Silver, because I get they've been hanging out for like a day now, and they never like explained who they're looking for.
Nope.
Like I get Silver not getting the cues from Amy because he doesn't know Sonic's name.
Nope.
But Silver would naturally be like, I'm looking for a blue hedgehog.
Yeah.
And Amy would probably be like, oh, that has to be Sonic. And then they'd have a conversation about this, but they just never talked, I guess.
No. They went to the desert. I think Silver just got distracted after that.
He got distracted by all the sand.
Yeah,
and
which he hates.
Yeah, he hates the sand. Silver has like Anakin Skywalker levels of like writing at times, but he's like, it's true, Sonic did destroy the world. And Amy's like, no way, I don't believe it. If I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic. And then she leaves him. She runs away. She dips. And Silver's just kind of sad. He's just kind of bummed out about this. Meanwhile, Sonic meets up with Tails and Knuckles. Knuckles is now here. No explanation as to who this guy is. Once again, soft reboot, but you don't know anything. He's like, I ran into Eggman, and he wanted me to give you this, and he hands him like a trading card that with a video hologram message that comes out, or like an audio recording or something. It's like one of those birthday greeting cards where you can record your own message, I guess. And he's like, Sonic, if you want, I have the hostage. If you want me to release the hostage, bring me the Chaos Emerald in my base in the White Acropolis. And he's like, and they're like, oh, it's obviously a trap. And Sonic's like, I'm going. If he went out of this way to tell me, I think we should pay him a little visit. Now, meanwhile, Silver is reflecting. He's just kind of sitting on some stairs, looking out at the ocean and contemplating. And then Blaze just kind of walks up to him. She just finds him. He's like,
okay.
Oh, hey, there you are. And Silver's like,
is that seriously as excited as he is? Like,
that is seriously there's like a level where you play as Blaze just kind of wandering around a beach, but that's like that's just it. She's just like, oh hey, there you are.
I guess it's only been a day.
It has only been a day, but like if I got separated from like what my best friend / I think girlfriend / I think maybe sister character.
Literally
I don't
only
know.
other person who exists in the apocalypse.
Only other person in the apocalypse. Like if I thought I got separated from them in the past, I might be. I think on either sides would be a bit more.
That's true.
Excited to see each other, but Silver's like, Blaze, maybe killing someone to save the future is bad. What do you think? And she's just like, I don't know, bro, but the future is fucked, so we might as well kill this guy. Like, that's literally, like, I'm paraphrasing, but that is basically what she says. She's like, oh, you're so naive. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the future is literally on fire.
Yeah.
So, Team Sonic arrives at Eggman's base, and Eggman raises a little mechanical pedestal out of the ground. He's like, place the emerald here. I have the hostage, Sonic. And Sonic... I thought he had a plan. Like, I always thought, like, when he says, like, oh, I think we should pay him a little visit. I thought he had a plan. He just kind of puts the emerald in there. He just does it. And then Eggman traps them in a machine and sends them into the future.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
didn't know there was nearly this much time travel in this game.
Yeah, so he tells Elise that this machine was based off of the Solaris project from 10 years ago, and Elise knows something about this. And he's like, once this machine is incomplete, I need the secrets of the Flames of Disaster from you to complete it. And he wants to like rule the world, control time and space, all that stuff. So,
okay, and I'm assuming that the last Project Solaris was the thing that pissed off Iblis last time.
Yeah. So Team Sonic, they arrive in Silver's future, which I forgot to mention, like, to illustrate how bad the future is. Like, the city Silver lives in is literally named Crisis City.
Okay, I have heard of Crisis City before, okay.
Yeah, and they get there, and Shadow and Rouge are there, because Mephiles sent them to that point in time, too. And they go over this, and they're like, it looks like we're in the future. We need to find a way to get back to the present. We must use the Chaos Emeralds. We must find them. So they're like, okay, Shadow, guess we'll have to work together to find 2 Chaos Emeralds so we can go back in time. They wander the city, and they each find different things. Team Shadow finds a Chaos Emerald, and they find their friend Omega, who is a...
Omega!
Yeah. I love Omega. Glad you recognize him. So yeah, he's a big robot and stuff, yeah. And he's been destroyed. He's just kind of laying there, and they're like, there's nothing we can do for him. We better get a move on.
That's right. I remember that. I remember that being like really sad when I saw that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Team Sonic finds a computer database, and they learn that back in the present, Elise dies in an explosion, and that's like that is presumably when the world is destroyed.
When the Iblis is triggered.
So yeah, when the Iblis is triggered. So they gotta go back in time get back in time so they can rescue Elise from dying.
Mm-hmm. So it does matter how long they take in the future, because they would be like set back a specific time, or is it just like Sonic 06? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Okay.
I'll admit. Anyway, meanwhile, back in the present, Silver and Blaze, for some reason they went to Eggman's base and got in. I don't really remember why. There might have been a throwaway line where it's like, let's follow Sonic into Eggman's base. I'm sure we could
probably...
That is probably it. But I also, like, Silver's been contemplating for a while, so he's probably lost track of Sonic, so I don't know where he got directions from.
Amy?
No, she left because Silver, she's like, wow, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So they got there, though. They got there.
Yeah.
And while they're in there, they find a Chaos Emerald just kind of laying in Eggman's backyard. It's like in this...
Is it even the one that Sonic gave him?
No.
It's
it's just a completely different one, just kind of laying there, and Blaze is like, oh, that's a Chaos Emerald.
Okay.
It's like some say it can grant miracles. It's like a lucky charm. You should hold on to that. Mm-hmm. So he does.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Amy is in the base too. On completely...
I told you.
Yeah, but not like... She didn't go with Silver and Blaze. She just wandered into there because she was looking for Sonic. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I wonder where Sonic could be.
She could probably smell him, at least.
Yeah. She's got the Sonic sense.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, and she bumps into Elise and wandering around the hallway. She's like, don't worry, I'll rescue you from here. And when she brings her... She breaks her out of Eggman's space and brings her back to town. And she's like... and then there's this really weird conversation where they talk to each other. Amy starts a conversation about how great love is because she's like, is there a special someone in your life? And Elise is like, there might be, I don't know. And they both talk about how much they think how cool Sonic is. But once again, Amy has learned nothing about communication and doesn't bring up a name. So she's just basically like speaking with her romantic rival.
Yeah. Because I also remember that this is like a decision you have to make at the end of the game.
There is a level where you have to choose who is your true love, Amy or Elise. And it's really weird because I played this because I played that level like pretty like late into like high school or something, and I had to make that choice, and it was equally weird because yes, Elise is a human and Sonic is a hog hedge, but also Amy is 14. And I was like 17, 18 when I played that, and I'm like, I don't really, I guess, I don't know.
How old is Elise, though? I feel like she's also, like, she's like 16, which is not much
Oh, yeah,
better.
that's not better.
Yeah.
That's not much, I doubt it's much better. And I don't want to Google that, because I don't want the FBI coming after me.
I mean, and Sonic is also, like, 15, I think. Like,
Sonic I don't even know what Sonic's age is.
I think they stopped giving him an age.
They stopped giving him an age, but for a while it was like, yeah, he's like 16.
Yeah.
Back in the future, they reunite, they each have a Chaos Emerald, and then they fight a giant lava worm for like the other Chaos Emerald they need. I meant they only had one Chaos Emerald, and there's a giant lava worm holding the other one. They got to beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And they open up the time portal back to the present. Keep in mind they use both Chaos Emeralds to open a time portal.
Yeah.
So everyone jumps through the portal except Shadow because he sees Mephiles and he's like, I need answers, and he runs after Mephiles while the portal closes.
Okay. You could also go to the past and do that, because he's also there.
Well, he is.
Anyway.
I didn't even think about it.
I mean,
Not only that, I mean, he doesn't know this, but there's 2 Mephilises in the past.
It's because one of them is from the future?
I guess one of them just jumps back and forth between time.
Sense,
I don't know.
And I guess, I can also understand that maybe it's not exactly a plot hole, because if you see the guy who puts you in the future where everything sucks, you're probably going to go, get him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense, especially since Shadow's always been someone who's I need answers about everything I need, and that's, one of his biggest flaws in most games, but yeah. Rouge realizes he's not with them in the present, so she's like, oh, I bet he stayed behind. I better make sure he's safe. So she goes to meet present Omega, and she gives him a Chaos Emerald and says, here, take this to Shadow.
Okay.
Yeah, she just gives him one, and she says, take it to Shadow. He's like, new mission objective, rescue Shadow the Hedgehog.
Okay. By the way, this game gives no context for why Shadow exists, right?
Nope.
Of course it
Nope, no context to who Shadow is, even. So meanwhile, back in the future, Shadow confronts Mephiles. He asks if he destroyed this world, and Mephiles decides to be a dick and say, the answer is both yes and no. How about I show you? He snaps his fingers, and Shadow the Hedgehog's corpse shows up in a mechanical coffin, and he's crucified, basically.
Why?
And he says, yes, that's you. After the world was destroyed, what happened? A search for the guilty. Humanity wasn't just jealous of your power, they feared it. They used this as an excuse to hunt you down. And he's like, come join me on the dark side, Shadow. Together we can punish humanity.
I don't believe for a second that any amount of military human might could take down any one of those Technicolor hedgehogs. I don't believe for a second.
Yeah, because
especially not Shadow.
Yeah,
he has a gun.
He uses guns. He can teleport, slow down time, explode people. And then he's like, that's absurd. Whatever it is you want, you can do it on your own, because I determine my own destiny. And Mephiles is like, well, if you forgive humanity this folly, then I will kill you. And then he changes his appearance. He gets a new anime transformation where he turns into a crystal hedgehog man with no feet and has these crystal stubs for legs, for feet. And
okay.
he fights Shadow, and he kicks Shadow's ass.
Okay.
And he's about to kill Shadow. But then Omega shows up with a Gatling gun, and he's like, now it is time, I assist. Now, when I was taking note for this, I realized, wow, I'm so confused as to how he got there, because it establishes you need more than one Chaos Emerald to travel through time, because Sonic says, you mean, when they're discussing how to get back to the present, and he's like, you mean we need to use the Chaos Emerald to go back in time? And Shadow literally points to him and says, yes, but that alone is insufficient. And then it zooms into Sonic's face this is a big deal. But Omega only had one emerald, and he's also a robot, so I don't even know if he can use chaos control.
Do you have to be a meat creature for that?
I don't know.
I don't even know what meat
control is.
I just know that it's a meme that Shadow says chaos control and then kicks people in the back of the head.
Yeah. So I don't know so he couldn't have time traveled there with just one emerald.
He waited.
Yeah, that was the other thing I thought it meant. I think it means he waited. But in the future, they established they walked by Omega and he's destroyed, so he wouldn't have been able to power on to bring the emerald to Shadow. So I don't know how he got there.
So the past is different. So the past alternate version of Omega was destroyed. However,
No, the future version of Omega.
no. Was destroyed and is still destroyed in the future.
Okay.
But the current present just waited.
Maybe.
Presumably
Here's the thing.
next to his corpse, like this.
Possibly.
Just
I
arms
don't know.
crossed.
This game, I guarantee you will this question will not have a more clear answer the more we learn about the future.
Mm-hmm.
So Omega and Shadow team up to defeat Mephiles. They shoot him a bunch, and Mephiles decides to retreat by opening a time portal, and Shadow and Omega get through just in time.
Okay.
They make it back to the past, or the present, or I don't fucking know anymore. And Shadow, they reunite with Rouge, and he's like, well then, it's time I figure out who Mephiles really is. I'm gonna go ask Dr. Eggman. Meanwhile, Silver is talking to the other Mephiles who, from his timeline, and he's like, Mephiles, who is the Iblis Trigger? He's like, why do you give a shit? He destroyed the future. It doesn't matter. And Silver's like, okay then. Also...
Moral quandary solved. I'm back to murder.
Also, Eggman kidnapped Elise again off screen,
Again,
but
okay.
there's no cutscene for
Off
it.
screen?
Off screen. Sonic has to,
Come
and
on.
he's holding her on a train. So Sonic has to run after the train to save her.
Okay.
So then, and while Sonic's doing that, Shadow breaks into another one of Eggman's bases, and he asks who Mephiles is, and he's like, if you want to know, you should ask him yourself. But here's a hint. He solved this riddle, Shadow the Hedgehog. He says that, and he tells him, Mephiles is linked to the Solaris project from 10 years ago.
Okay.
And he says, when you find Mephiles, bring him to me, and I will give you the answers you seek.
What do you mean? You just said to ask Mephiles. If Mephiles doesn't know and you know, tell me now.
You see what I mean when I say this is like a poorly translated shonen anime?
Yeah. It's pretty clear that at least a lot of the, especially with the scenes with Elise, it's just really badly
It is really
localized.
weird, and it is real. The localization is so strange in this. Anyway, so Sonic rescues Elise from the train. And then Silver shows up and tries to kill him again. And while they're fighting, Eggman swoops in with his big robot arm and kidnaps Elise again.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
How many is that now? Are we at 5?
I think we are at 4.
We're at 4.
I think we are at 4 kidnap. Wait, hang on. So there was the beginning.
Yeah.
There was the beginning of the game
was
where
unsuccessful, so it probably doesn't count.
Well, yeah, but then he kidnaps her after Sonic rescues her. Mm-hmm. So there's that time. Then there's after the fight with Silver, and he kidnaps her.
Yeah.
Then she gets kidnapped off screen, and then there's this. So that makes 4.
That is
that
4.
Makes 4.
Okay.
And this time, instead of Amy stepping in, Amy's not here to save Sonic, but Shadow is. Shadow steps in.
His boyfriend. Yep.
And Silver's like, Mephiles, why are you getting in my way? And he's like, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. And Sonic runs away to go rescue Elise again.
I specifically remember that cutscene.
Yeah, you know this cutscene.
I was like, isn't this the
up.
one where he just goes...
Yeah, Silver, rushes in to fight Shadow. He rushes in to just punch him, and he goes, Chaos Control! Slows down time, casually jogs up to him, and, roundhouse kicks him in the back of the head.
It's so funny.
It is so funny. Before this, I was straight up thinking of, coming up with, fake answers for, what happens, and be pause. What happens? How does Shadow
defeat? Been funny.
It would have been funny. But nothing is funnier than Shadow just casually walking up behind and just kicking him.
I disagree. I think it would have been way funnier if Shadow just gunned him down.
That really would have been funny. He just takes out the gun, and he's like, you thought I was done with this, huh? Yeah, but then he's like, it's no use, Silver. I think he literally says, it's
probably
no
on
use.
purpose.
Yeah. And he's like, I won't give up. I need to save the future. And then they both bring out a Chaos Emerald and just kind of charge at each other with it. I don't know what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to punch each other with the emerald. And they cross their arms together Chaos Control! and they accidentally open up a time portal
Okay.
to 10 years ago
Okay.
at the Solaris Project, and Shadow's like, if you want to know the truth about Mephiles, come with me.
So Shadow just like knows what that is.
He knows, and like you can't even see through the time portals to
Right.
like know what it is.
You can
they
smell...
opened it on accident. He can smell time.
Yeah, he can smell time.
So
I don't even smell his clone.
So they jump in. Meanwhile, with Sonic, oh my god, I forgot to. I didn't finish typing this note. It looks like it just says Sonic.
Sonic.
It just says Sonic. But yeah, basically what happens, I guess I didn't finish writing the section, but it's pretty simple. Basically, Sonic rescues Elise. Like she's like flying on like Eggman's little bit on like one of Eggman's robots in the middle of a field, and she's like backing away. And he's like, "You have nowhere else to run, Elise." She's like, "I'd rather die than be your prisoner." He's like, and then she just kind of just jumps. She falls.
Oh.
And
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, it's like the thing they said earlier, like she runs because like there's the thing.
Oh
said.
yeah, you wish.
No.
You wish that would
Damn.
have been writing.
Yeah.
That would have been writing. Instead, she falls off and risks her life, even though she's the monarch of her city. And then Sonic's just there, and he catches her,
Oh, okay.
and then he fights Eggman's big robot, and he takes her away to another area. It's not a Windows Movie Maker thing. This one looks much nicer. It's in a pre-rendered cutscene, so everything's really nice and pre-rendered. And like they like talk about. She talks about how stressful being a princess is, but how she loves her people. And then she's like, well, when Dr. Eggman is defeated, you'll leave, right? And he's like, yeah, probably. And then she's getting sad, and then she's hugs him because she's like about to cry, and he's like, I must not cry.
That's a decent character moment.
It is
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And then he's like, she's like, will you still remember me after you leave? And he's like, definitely. And it's kind of sweet. It's kind of nice. There's good art direction. Like Sonic 06, like they outsourced some cutscenes in the games, like the pre-rendered ones, and they look very nice.
Yeah, like I remember being quite impressed, especially with that first cutscene with the missiles coming out.
Yeah.
It looks good especially for 2006.
Yeah, it does look really nice.
And honestly, the game doesn't even look most of the time.
Yeah, most of the
doesn't
game
look
like,
that bad. There's some levels that are...
It's more of the character animation because it's all motion captured, and like that works fine for the humans.
Not so much for Sonic.
But yeah, for the cartoon hedgehog, it looks really strange. He's kind of just flailing his arms around half the time, and it looks really funny.
I didn't realize it was mocap. That explains much.
They had a phase where they were just obsessed with using mocap for Sonic characters, and it never looks good. Mm-mm. It just never looks good.
That explains so much.
I know, it's... I was always wondering, even back then when I was like a kid who didn't question that this was like who thought this was a real movie, I was like, they kind of move weird in this game. Yeah. So meanwhile, 10 years in the past,
right.
The Solaris Project is happening, and the king of Soliana, Elise's father, is like, he has the flame of Solaris in a big machine that's malfunctioning, and there's alarms going off. He's like, why do you not listen to me, Solaris? And he's like typing the computer like a Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs character. And then Elise walks into the room, and she's like, hi, Dad. And immediately an explosion goes off. Elise is unconscious. Everyone, like, the king is, like, dying. And then Shadow and Silver drop in. They're like, from the flames of Solaris split two things. The flames of disaster, Iblis, and the shadow of Mephiles.
Okay.
Mephiles is just like a cloud. He's just a shadow, and it's really funny because he escapes and he's just running away and he's going like muhahaha, muhahaha, and he's just maniacally laughing. Mm-hmm.
The shadow can just do time travel whenever he wants, right? That's just like a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can just time travel wherever he wants.
Sure, as shadows are wont to do.
Yeah, keep that in mind,
Okay.
because that will be called into question much later.
Okay.
So Shadow tells Silver to stay behind and help the king, and with the power of Silver's psychokinesis, the king is able to see, and also I guess magic that the king has that's never brought up.
Okay.
He's able to, and I think there's also a Chaos. No, it was the Chaos Emerald. He uses a Chaos Emerald and Silver's psychokinesis to seal the flames of disaster in Elise, and he says, if she ever cries, the flames of disaster will be revealed. Will be unleashed.
Sucks.
It does.
I was kind of on board, and then never mind.
Yeah, and then he dies. So that implies that after he died, Elise heard about that and didn't know, and just didn't cry ever.
I guess.
And she's a child. She's 5 in these cutscenes. Yeah. But Silver does that. Meanwhile, Shadow seals the shadow of Mephiles in the Scepter of Darkness that he got from the king, and he's and Mephiles is what? Who are you? I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. And he's I will remember your face, and I will remember your face and your name. In the future, I will kill you. You will die, Shadow. So that's how that happens. That's the explanation given for that.
Fair enough. That's not so bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is after, because Silver lays Elise down under a tree, and they open a time portal up, and Shadow just puts the Scepter of Darkness down on the ground next to her, and Silver's aren't you gonna take that? And he's I already know what becomes of it in the future.
I guess.
Even though that implies that if he took the Scepter of Darkness,
different.
Yeah, he could make it so he could find a way to dispose of it and destroy Mephiles or keep it safe so Mephiles never escapes.
You could just put it in a hole.
He could put it in a hole. He could fucking bury it. Yeah. He could do so many other things, but he's just no, I will leave it on the ground.
Here, have this small child.
My favorite. There was there was this YouTuber who used to make Sonic parody animations, and there was one that was a recap of Sonic 06, and it perfectly illustrates the problem with this, where Silver's are you just gonna leave it there? Don't worry, I know what becomes of it in the future. So do I! Mephiles escapes, and then Iblis destroys the world. Exactly. We accomplish nothing. Mission complete. Let's go. And he jumps through the time portal.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and right before he leaves, Silver looks at Elise and he feels bad for her. And so he gives her his Chaos Emerald and says, here, it's like a lucky charm, hold on to it, I'm sure you could use a miracle right now. And he jumps back to the present.
Mm-hmm. And actually, there is maybe a way the Shadow thing actually kind of works, where he doesn't want the scepter to be somewhere he isn't aware of.
Oh,
he at least knows where it will be so he can go get it. It's still dumb, but it's at least maybe that's the thought process.
That would make sense if he looked there later, I guess, but they go back to the present, and back in the present, Eggman flies over.
Please,
he flies over the city in his big airship, and on the intercom he yells, "Princess Elise, you must turn yourself in, or I will bomb the shit out of Soliana."
Okay, as long as he doesn't already have her. Fine.
Well, then she's well, I gotta go. So she kidnaps herself. So that's 5. That's 5 times she's been kidnapped. Meanwhile,
this is the gamer chair cutscene.
This is the gamer chair cutscene. Back in the present. We're already back in the present, but
right.
Omega has tracked down Mephiles, and this is Crystal Mephiles, and he's who's in the present.
Crystal Mephiles.
Crystal Mephiles. I didn't even.
That's really funny.
I'm now just picturing Shadow being Omega, we have to cook.
We have to cook.
Because Shadow kind of does sound like Walter White when he's angry. Shadow in this game does sound a bit like Walter White. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll have to trust you. I haven't heard enough of both.
Angry, Jesse. We have to cook.
Right.
Walter
I've really not interacted with either of these franchises, so I'll take you.
Fair enough. I've only seen season 1 of Breaking Bad, but it does he does kind of get I'm just saying if Keanu Reeves was absent, Bryan Cranston wouldn't have been a bad substitute. Now that
I believe that, actually.
I could see that working.
Bryan
That could have been
Cranston's
cool.
also just got range, though. He could do anything he wants.
Paramount, take notes.
Yeah.
Listen to us.
Yeah.
We know Sonic. We know
That's
Sonic
true.
well. See, he knows. He knows the lore now.
It's true. My understanding has deepened tenfold.
So, Omega is like, he's like just shooting Mephiles with missiles, and he's just like, and Mephiles is just taking it, but like being pushed back. He's like taking damage, but he doesn't feel anything. He's like, and he tells him, this only proves that you were designed to destroy the ultimate life form, aka Shadow. And he's like,
is that why Omega exists originally? Is to kill Shadow?
no,
But okay,
what
that's just a thing he says.
Well, what he explains that humanity, when humanity wanted to blame Shadow, they reprogrammed Omega to kill him.
Okay,
Which is why, brings up what you said. Like, there's no way regular ass people were gonna kill Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, they had to.
At least
get
they
Omega.
thought about it. All right, I respect that.
And this is also why I don't understand Omega, like, putting it, like, just kind of, waiting until years into the future, because that implies that he still fought Shadow, and they kind of imply that the reason he's destroyed is due to battles sustained from his fight with Shadow.
Probably.
So that still happens. So I don't know, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a different Omega.
I guess, yeah, but that Omega is still gonna fight Shadow.
Yes.
So he's still. This game is so fucking stupid.
Don't worry
You know
about
what? If Shadow was in the future, then he couldn't have been there for Omega to fight.
Yeah.
So maybe that's.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's the current the game timelines, guys, are completely different from the timeline that happened in the past's present.
The fact that this is a discussion that we need to have shows like that this game was just all over the place.
Yep, this game sure was made in Japan.
It was made in Japan, and it sure was localized by 2000s anime dubbers.
Yeah, there's that too, isn't it?
So yeah,
Maybe this game would make sense if we actually knew what they were fucking talking about.
maybe in Japanese, like, yeah, I wonder if like in Japan the story of this game is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah,
Like, maybe
right.
this
That'd be
game
really
is-
funny.
That would be amazing. So yeah, after Omega learns that he's the one who kills Shadow in the future, he spins his arms around and swaps out like the cannon launchers and takes out his dual Gatling guns and then just starts shooting Mephiles. And Mephiles falls to the ground and just lies on the beach and falls into a shadow while laughing evilly.
I thought he was literally just gonna lay down.
He's
and that
just
was
gonna
it.
lay down. Yeah, but then Shadow and Rouge meet up with him, and he's like, Shadow, I am the one who kills you in the future. And Shadow's like kind of sad about this, but he keeps it to himself. And Rouge is like, don't worry, man. If all of humanity betrays you, I'll still be there for you. Mm-hmm. She probably dies immediately when that happens.
I don't think Rouge has anything.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I think
It's a sweet
it's a gesture.
It's a sweet gesture, Rouge, but I don't think you're making it out of that if you side with Shadow.
Aww.
Then he tells Rouge, like, get in touch with Gun. I need to find the materials made for the Scepter of Darkness. And what's really funny is I recently played this level because I recently played through Shadow Story while I was back home. And the way you get this. One of the materials for Flames of Disaster that you have to get are these purple flames that you have to wander around the city of Soliana and find these specific torches and use your chaos powers to light the torches with your spears, and then they turn into purple flames, and then you get the Scepter of Darkness. I don't know.
It's not it's not realistically that much weirder than any other fetch quest, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like, I just love video game moments where it's like, let's break narrative and have you do the most video game shit possible.
Yeah. Shadow's life truly is like a video game. Collecting coins just to beat the stage.
Life really is just like a game, Sonic. You never know what you're gonna get.
my father was a
hedgehog. My father was a hedgehog, and my mother was a gamer. Together, they created the ultimate society.
That sucks.
It really does. Anyway, so now...
I love that. That's really good.
Yeah, so now we cut back to Sonic, who's on his way to save Elise for the 6th time in this game. And he's surrounded by robots. Mm-hmm. But then Silver and Blaze show up, and they're here to help, because they know that, like, if the princess dies, then Iblis could be unleashed. Mm-hmm. So they decide to go follow Eggman's airship, and we get the gamer chair cutscene with Eggman and Elise. How many times have I kidnapped you? I feel like it's been 7 different times. I feel like it's going to be 8. So what happens is. So what happens is they chase the airship, but then some malfunction goes up with Eggman's airship. It's not gameplay informed, and I couldn't find a cutscene, and his airship crashes, and they both die in an explosion.
That's right.
Yeah. And Sonic's like, Elise!
That's right.
And
very good acting.
Yeah, and then he drops to the ground and just starts slamming the ground, but it's motion captured, so it looks really weird.
Yeah.
But then Silver's like, wait a minute, we can use the Chaos Emeralds to go back in time an hour before it happened. So they use Chaos Control to open up the time portals, and Sonic uses the portal to go back like a couple hours before Eggman's airship takes off. Meanwhile, Silver uses it to go back to his time. They use the same portal, so I think this means that, like, the portal is just a portal and it goes wherever you want.
Sure.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, then...
Whatever your heart desires.
That breaks every other time travel, but alright.
It does. It really does.
I'm not gonna worry about
it. And the fact that the characters can time travel, like, just on a whim now means that they could, like, there's so much stuff in this game they could prevent.
Yeah.
But they don't.
No.
They don't. They prevent what the plot needs them to prevent.
Yeah.
So... now we have the finale to all 3 Hedgehog stories. So, Team Shadow confronts Mephiles in the desert, where they count how many sand there is.
No!
That's what the cutscene's from. Yeah, so they do that.
Why would you tell him to do that? He's gonna be here forever.
1, 2, 3, 4. But Mephiles, they find Mephiles in the middle, in like the desert temple, and he's like, I have the Chaos Emeralds, Shadow, but there's still time to join me. And he's like, don't try to deceive me. I know you only want to fuse with Iblis. So then he uses...
Is this a thing that's been explained, or does the Shadow just say that?
Well, he knows now because he went to the past.
Okay, but like, do they ever literally say like he probably wants to fuse with Iblis again, or is it just like
not
the same...
explicitly?
Okay.
But they just deduced that like because they watched them split off from Solaris.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's like what we're running with. So big final boss fight between Shadow and Mephiles, because these stories are technically split up into Sonic's point of view, Silver's point of view, and Shadow's point of view.
Yeah, it's like 3 separate games basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I'm just reading them in chronological order.
Yeah.
Shadow defeats Mephiles, and he tries to seal him, but the seal breaks because he's like, he says something like, he says something like, the eye of now have absorbed your shadow from the past. What may have worked 10 years ago no longer does. And then he surrounds him with his shadow clone jutsu. There's like 1 million Mephileses. And he's like, it's futile. The world will betray you. Why fight for those who will persecute you later? And then he says, Omega, count how many mouths he has. No, okay, he doesn't, what he does say is like, when I saw this cutscene and heard him say this, that was the moment where I was like, okay, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog is the coolest fictional character of all time, because this blew my mind as like a child.
Yeah.
In fact, He takes off his the rings he holds around because they're inhibitors to seal off his true power.
That's right.
And he's like, if the world chooses to betray me, I will fight like I always have. And
That's right. I've heard that line before.
And then he fucking obliterates all of them by just running through them. Like, I remember that line was so cool and inspiring to me back when I first saw it.
It's a good line.
It is a good line. Like, there's some decent dialogue in this game. It's just buried under some really bad acting.
Yeah.
Like, anytime Mephiles speaks, like, his plot makes no fucking sense, but we will get to his plot. But Dan Green fucking kills the role. But yeah, that happens. I remember we had a woodshop project for like middle school or something where we had to make a clock, and I had just watched that, and I thought it was so cool. So I made my clock in the shape of a Chaos Emerald, and then engraved that quote in poor handwriting onto it.
Badass.
Yeah. Then now we have Silver. Him and Blaze have returned to the future. They fight Iblis one last time, and once he's weakened, Silver uses the Chaos Emeralds and his psychokinesis to try and seal the flames of disaster in him, but the flames are rejecting him. So what happens is Blaze takes the Chaos Emeralds.
That's right.
Because she's a pyrokinetic. She can control the flames, and she seals it in hers, and she dies.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why. I get why for narrative reasons, like emotional reasons, but Elise didn't die, and she was like a 5-year-old child. Mm-hmm. So, but Blaze like fucking vanishes into thin air. She like flies off into the heavens, and
it's not even that she gets deleted. No. She just gets cool.
Yeah, she's floating up into the sky as it finally clears.
Why?
And she's like, "Don't worry, Silver, I will always be watching you." And it's like the JoJo scene, like, Abdul, Iggy, we've won against Dio, as like Jotaro looks into the clouds and you can see their faces.
I've no context for any of that.
And then the clouds in the sky finally clear. The future is saved. Iblis has been destroyed. And finally, we have Sonic, who has gone back in time a few hours before the explosion and gets on Eggman's airship just in time. He fights Eggman's giant robot bird and escapes with Elise. They jump out of the wreckage and land in another Windows screensaver. Yes. And they start laughing uncontrollably together. And once they stop, Sonic looks at Elise and gives her a thumbs up and says, "Nice smile!" And that is the end. Or is it? You see, once you beat all 3 stories, there's a final story. You see, it turns out Mephiles is alive. Mm-hmm. And while Sonic and Elise are walking back, he appears behind them. He rises from the shadows, and then he uses a giant arm blade to stab Sonic and kill him.
I thought it was going to be Elise. I was like, I swear to God.
If he kidnaps or kills Elise.
Yeah, I was going to lose my mind.
But because of that, Sonic falls to the ground dead, and Elise cries, and Iblis rises from the ashes, and with the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, even though it seems like they were kind of weirdly scattered through time at this point, don't worry about it, he brings them all in, and he becomes Solaris. He creates the apocalypse, and everyone is like just deleted from existence except for all the animal people, Elise and Eggman, who are warped to purgatory, because all that's left of the world are like floating islands of debris and previous levels from the game.
Okay.
And they're like, and Eggman explains like, Mephiles played us all for fools. He wanted Elise to get attached to Sonic, and so she would cry, even though he wanted to reunite with Iblis. Mm-hmm. But Iblis was already in the future. He was already there.
Wasn't he?
He was. He could. Now you might say he needed to go back. He did need the emeralds. Once again, He can travel through time at
You
will.
just get him.
Yeah, why couldn't he? He could have just brought them back.
Yeah.
He could have. Iblis was right there. He was right there. So that was Mephiles' plan. Also, keep in mind, he sent Silver to kill Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Silver had gotten to Sonic before he met Elise, or before she got attached. That plan is ruined. That plan doesn't work.
I wonder if you like. I'm gonna try to play devil's advocate with him. Maybe he knew that Silver sucked and was just gonna get it.
Silver does really suck. He is like the epitome of a dorky anime boy. In fact,
did Mephiles just know he was going to get rolled?
I guess.
He bought popcorn for the occasion.
That would be
just to
really
watch
funny.
A child die.
That would be very funny if that were the case, but I don't know.
I don't think so.
You want to know what's funny to illustrate how Silver is the embodiment of a corny anime boy? Mm-hmm. Just fucking Trunks from DBZ, basically.
I was going to say, like, this even the story is kind of Trunks.
There's always been DBZ comparisons made with Sonic because of, like, Supersonic and all that stuff, but like this is like the most blatant one in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But you know who Silver the Hedgehog is now voiced by?
Don't tell me. Hold on.
Who do you think he's voiced by?
Surely it's not the Goku actor.
It's not Goku,
Okay.
but he did play Black Doom, aka the Devil from Real Time Fandub. That was Goku.
It's me.
It's me, Shadow.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I want to try and make a legitimate guess. Like, is it straight up just the Trunks voice actor?
It is not the Trunks voice actor.
I'm trying to think of who else it could possibly be.
The current VA for Silver. I can tell you, if you know anime VAs, especially for protagonists.
I really don't, but we'll try.
Okay. You give up?
Oh, I guess. Oh, I thought you were saying you were gonna give me a hint to like.
Who is
it? Who is it?
It's Bryce Papenbrook. He is Eren Yeager.
No.
He is Eren Yeager. He is Kirito from Sword Art Online. He is Makoto Naegi from Danganronpa.
Okay.
He's kind of like the go-to anime protagonist dub VA.
Yeah, okay, that'll do it.
That will do it. But anyway, they're all in purgatory. All of Sonic's friends see that he's dead, except Blaze. She's also dead.
Yeah,
they're crying. And they're like, the world has ended. But then Elise, she senses Sonic's presence in the wind, and she's like, I think he might still be alive. And they're like, we could use the Chaos Emeralds to revive him, and because the Chaos Emeralds were warped over there, they're like all within the vicinity.
Mephiles just gave them the Chaos Emerald.
He did just give them the Chaos Emerald. I don't know. He's just I do know that they like scatter when they're done. So I guess. But out of all the places in Purgatory, it's just a few islands near them.
Yeah.
So then Eggman goes into his Eye Sans Undertale style. He adjusts his glasses to scan the area. He finds the Chaos Emeralds, and everyone plays through a level to grab one of the emeralds.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Then they bring the emeralds back. They surround him. Sonic is lying on the ground with his hands on his stomach, face up. He's floating in the air, and Elise
Sonic
is
just a really funny visual.
Elise is standing here praying, kneeling, and she's like, "Sonic, come back to me, to us." And she kisses Sonic, and then he becomes Super Sonic, and and they hug. He's like, "Thank you, Elise." And he now has a very soft voice. And then he looks at Shadow and Silver. They walk up to him, and he shares his power, and they become Super Shadow.
Yeah, I've seen that
Super
part.
Silver. They join hands in marriage, and then they fly up to go kill a sun god. After the boss fight happens, they destroy Solaris's body, and then they fly back down. Everyone's cheering, "Yeah, Sonic!" And then Sonic and Elise are warped back in time one last time.
Okay.
They are warped back in time to before the Solaris incident. Before the Solaris project, and the room is dark, and the flame of Solaris is there, and Elise says, if we blow out this flame right now, Solaris will have never existed. But that also means
we would never have met.
Goddamn. None of this would have ever happened. And she starts crying and she says, I know I shouldn't, but I don't care what happens to the world. Mm-hmm. And then Sonic just looks up at her, brushes a tear away, and he says, Elise, smile.
No! How do I not see that coming? I should have seen that coming.
It's so funny. And then she blows out the flame. And we cut back to the beginning of the game with the Sun Festival, and Sonic's running by, and he's excited. He sees it, and he runs by, and there's a gust of wind, and she's like, I felt a presence. It sounded in the wind. It felt so familiar. Mm-hmm. And Sonic looks up in the moon as he blows the feather that is in Elise's hair all the time, like, flies up into the sky, and he looks at that, and that is the end of Sonic 06. In the end, everything got reversed, so this soft reboot never happened.
It doesn't matter.
And Sega's used it as an excuse to, like, acknowledge this game as little as possible. In fact, I was just playing the new Sonic game that came out, Shadow Generations, where villains from Shadow's past return, including Mephiles.
Okay.
And the plot of his boss fight is that Shadow doesn't remember who he is, and Mephiles is pissed he forgot him again. And Mephiles wants to exist in the timeline again, but Shadow just beats the shit out of him and is like, I don't know who you are, but there's no room for you in this timeline.
Okay, that's pretty fair.
I'm glad they were able to make lemonade out of those very sour lemons.
Yeah. So this wasn't Silver's first game, was it?
It kind of was. They put him in another game that came out like the same year, like right around the same time. Okay. But this was basically Silver's introductory point.
Okay.
But what is weird is that, like, they erased the events of this, but in future games they still know who Silver is. He just kind of shows up every now and then. No explanation given to that. Also, Blaze had a completely different... Blaze was in Sonic games before.
Oh, okay.
But she was the princess of another dimension who met Sonic, and they became good friends for multiple games.
Okay.
Now, that's why this game was supposed to be a soft
reboot.
Reboot, so they, like, rewrite Blaze's origins. But they also keep the origins of, like, Shadow and Sonic.
Everyone else is the same. It's just
everyone else is the same. Yeah, it's Big the Cat is not here, unfortunately.
I was
I thought
at the very beginning of the game or the explanation. I was like, please, because when you said like, oh, it's someone that we'll meet later, it's like, please tell me Big is in this game. Please tell me Big is in the future. That'd be so funny.
I would love it if Big the Cat was in this game.
And again, from the future. Big is one of the 3 survivors.
Big the Cat. That is actually okay. It's funny you bring that up because the recent Netflix series Sonic Prime has Sonic traveling through the multiverse, and one of the dimensions is a utopia where like 5 different Eggman variants rule, and one of the few Resistance members is Big the Cat.
Hell yeah!
And he just appears in every multiverse. So there's Pirate Big the Cat, there's Wilderness Big the Cat, and that's actually it because they don't go to that many multiverses in all the 3 seasons, but there's like multiple Big the Cat variants.
Badass.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that was Sonic 06 as a newcomer. Do you feel like this was a substantial introduction to the Sonic universe?
I will be going home and I will be I'm going to watch the real-time fandom again.
Oh, hell yeah.
Understand what's actually happening.
Now you can see, like, now you will understand, like, that's gonna, no.
Because, like, I've seen most of the fan dubs at least once, and had literally zero context for what's
Yeah.
actually happening.
No, because I've tried doing that with some of them. I tried watching the Until Dawn one, and they were mostly just talking about Markiplier the whole time, and I had no idea what was happening. But like, I was like, I mean, it's funny. It's very funny. I don't know what's happening, but it was very good.
Yeah. So for any of you out there who are listening and have not seen the real-time fan dubs, and now that you do understand Sonic 06, please go watch them.
Yeah, please
They're
watch.
ridiculous.
Yeah, please watch Snapcube's real-time fandom series. They are some of the funniest videos I've ever seen. They are a great time, beginning to end.
Top-tier improv.
They are some of you maybe wanting to play Sonic 06. I don't recommend spending money on the game. You can find it for cheap, but it's not very good. Go play Project 06 because it's a great reworking of that game.
And probably free.
If you're doing something where you can like have something on in the background, feel free to put the cutscenes on in the background if you're really that curious. But like, go watch Snapcube's real-time fandom. It's great. And with that, I think the first episode of Ruined Childhood comes to a close.
All right, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This has been Casey and Indomelon signing off, and we will see you in the future,
or in the past but again,
or in the present, but it's the past version of the present,
or it's the other the present,
or
it's the present,
or it's at the beginning of the video, which is in the past but is in the present for you guys, but in the future for us.
Yeah.
Gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack.